Okay, so we list both the rational and emotional reasons for the target market to believe the promise. We include all the major copy points. Okay, so in short, what else can you say to achieve the objective that falls under the reasons why, both the rational and the emotional? And then, of course, we want them to do something. So we have what we call the call to action. What do you want them to do when they see, hear, or read the advertising? And finally, the mandatories, or what should, these are mandatory, so they should be included. So sometimes these varies from agency to agency, but these are typical. The logo, of the brand, any important addresses, any important phone numbers, the URL or the website address, the uniform resource locator, and the trademark information. And of course, the very important, etc. And then, what's next? One moment. Okay. Oops. Okay, so the creative brief, it provides the foundation that allows all decision makers to provide initial input. So what's really cool about this is that people can work together to design the creative brief. All right, so what we have next is the second item, and this says that the clients rely on creative briefs as much as the copywriters and the art directors, because it's like it says earlier, the foundation. So this is what we came up with together, both the client as well as the advertising agency, and later on when we're done with the advertising, we can refer back to this document and we can see for ourselves, we can measure, did we actually communicate what we intended to communicate, the message we wanted to communicate. So as it says here in the first item, later on we'll be able to gauge how well the chosen communication ideas stayed true to this strategic plan, to this document, the creative brief. Okay, so the first step in the SS plus K brief is because they're very creative in this ad agency. So they started with establishing what they call the client's noble purpose, the raison d'etre, or the reason for the existence of the client or the brand. So this is a single-minded, concise, written statement, okay? And it should excite the imagination of the reader, whether the reader is the client or whether the reader is the creative team who will work on the ad. So when you say single-minded, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, that means very determined to achieve something. So I hope you are all single-minded in your desire to accomplish all of the outputs for the subject. Next slide. Okay, so here we have what they call their noble purpose worksheet. Okay, so it is the first step in synthesizing the client's purpose for existence. So there are how many components? Two at the top. First, we have the brand truth, what single fact is or always has been unique or central to this brand. So the brand truth. So first step pa lang, mapapaisip ka na. Okay, what is the single fact that is or always has been unique or central to the brand? Then on the other hand, we've got the consumer truth. So what experience, behavior, belief, or problem do consumers have that relates to the brand? Okay, so it says in the creative brief that this noble purpose will be the magnetic north for everyone involved with the brand. So this is very literary, very metaphorical. The magnetic north, that is the North Star. And in the past, people would use the stars to chart their direction, where they're going. So they would look to the North Star. So in this case, knowing the client's noble purpose, knowing why the brand exists, will be the guiding force for the rest of the brief or the document. Okay, so there are some additional questions at the bottom of the diagram. You have, is it rational or emotional, just like a human being? Because people are both rational and emotional. Is it polarizing? Does it make people divide into two groups? So I suppose it might make you wonder, why is that included? Well, possibly, this is my theory, possibly it's because we want people to talk about the brand. So it's important that we know what the two perspectives are about the brand or even the client. And the third one is it capable of creating intense loyalty both inside and outside the company? So knowing why the company exists, its noble purpose should be something inspiring to both the people in the company as well as to the people who are external to the company. Okay, so we're almost done. Don't worry, we have only a few slides today. All right, so then this is what SS plus K's diagram looks like for its flow or process in designing. It's what we call an asymmetric communications brief. So this, we won't read it all. Anyway, I'll upload the PDF at a later time. So let's just look at the headings. So we have the client's noble purpose, what's new, what problem there is to be solved, what the target is. Okay, it's a brief description of who we need to talk with. The insight, what human, emotional, or cultural fact will be the catalyst relevant to the brand or creating awareness for the brand, I suppose. Then you have the current state, so situational analysis, where are we now? Then we have the big idea. Then what is the desired state? Where do we want to go? Why we're even having this strategy? Why we're even making this document, the creative brief? And lastly, at the very bottom of the slide, you'll see asymmetric avenues. So asymmetric avenues are what our target's media consumption habits are. So what media do they use? And how and where can we start a dialogue? So that is the creative brief. And if I'm not mistaken, the next slide is the last one. Yes, it is. So we have here the brand manifesto. Tantan, could you read about the brand manifesto, please? It's on the right side of the slide.
Ayan, ako po. Communication inspires the SS plus K because its brand manifesto. It, it is often both written and visual statement used to help internal and external audiences understands what the brand stands for. It is not a marketing campaign or a reflection of what the final advertising material will look like.
Okay, thank you so much, Tan. Okay, so let's clarify something. This is not yet the actual advertisement. This is not a print ad or a poster. This is simply the brand manifesto. So it's, as it says in the definition, it's written, it's also visual, it's for both the internal and external audiences, okay? And it helps them understand the noble purpose, what the brand stands for. Okay, so maybe you're not able to read the text in the brand manifesto, so I'm just going to read it out to you guys. So it says, embracing our uniquely diverse legacy will help define our place in the future. From the serious to the sensational, the essential to the escapist, the cerebral to the self-help, the breaking to the blog, we are a treasure trove of news you need to know and news you never even knew you wanted. Because we're not just a destination, we're about the journey as well. Dive in, swim around. We're the home for the infinitely curious. We are msnbc.com. So it's very inspiring. I mean, I could be someone working for MSNBC and I would read this and I would be inspired. Or I could be somebody outside the company and read this. Oh, so this is what they're about. Okay. And if you look at the design of the graphic, it's a diver. Okay. Because as it says, dive in, swim around. Okay. So it's very clever the way they designed the brand manifesto visual. And also, it says we're about the journey, not just a destination. So if you recall, the specific segment of the news consumers that they're targeting are what they call the news explorer. If you remember from online activity one, um, the interviewee in the video spoke about the news explorer, and they're not just about the destination. They're about, oh, sorry, yeah, correct. They're not just about the destination, they're about the journey.